Hey everyone, welcome to today's explainer. Okay, we're just going to jump right into this because today we are looking at something so incredibly profound and honestly deeply human. We're navigating the really heavy emotional terrain of profound grief, anxiety, and betrayal. And we're using an ancient text to do it, Psalm 55. If you've ever felt the sheer weight of a broken relationship or, the crushing pressure of anxiety, this explainer is going to show you a completely different framework for handling it.
Because, as the author David describes it here, they were so close, only for him to find a knife in his own back. I mean, we aren't talking about some random stranger hurting him. We're talking about the visceral, highly specific pain of betrayal by a trusted friend. This isn't just some theoretical exercise, right? These are incredibly high emotional stakes, and really, understanding this specific pain is the absolute key to unlocking this entire text.
So let's look at section 1. The ache of betrayal. Right at the center of this text is this massive human conflict, and we really need to know who David is talking about to grasp the full magnitude of what's going on. Enter Ahitophel. He wasn't just some guy David knew. He was David's most trusted counselor. In fact, scholars point out that his advice was so revered, it was literally said to be like hearing from God himself. Just pause and think about that level of trust for a second. Now imagine that exact person turning against you. It absolutely devastates the foundation of their friendship and just throws David's entire world into total chaos.
And that brings us to a really vital realization. This isn't about regular hardship. It's about the specific grief of betrayal. I want to highlight this because, this isn't just about having a generally bad day or dealing with the usual stresses of work or life. This text is addressing a very unique, sharp kind of pain. The kind of pain that only comes when someone you gave your absolute, complete trust to turns around and uses it against you.
Which leads us to section 2, bring the whole mess.
So how exactly does David respond to this? Well, if we look at verses 1 through 8, we see sheer, unedited intensity. I mean, he's horrified, he's trembling, he is completely overwhelmed. He even explicitly says that he just wants to fly away like a dove. He wants to escape. He isn't putting on a brave face here at all. He has this visceral, deep-seated desire to just run away from the pain completely.
And this brilliantly illustrates a massive disconnect in how so many of us handle our own pain today. On one hand, we have what we're so often taught, right? Edited prayer, saying all the right words, basically leaving the actual ugly pain completely out of it. We try so hard to be polite. But, on the other hand, look at what Psalm 55 actually permits. Raw feelings, unedited honesty, the messy, complicated realities of human life. David is broken, sure, but he doesn't let that stop him from honestly talking to God.
Because the crucial point here is this. God already knows what's in your heart. You don't need to pretend. Seriously, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this first half of the explainer, let it be this. Since the truth of your pain, your anger, and your betrayal is already completely known, there's absolutely no need to edit your pain before you approach God. Just don't pretend. Honestly, come to him.
All right, moving on to section 3, cast your cares.
Now that we've established the sheer honesty required here, the narrative arc actually moves toward hope. And it all pivots on this incredible quote from verse 16. As for me, I call to God and the Lord saves me. This is the absolute anchor of the text. Right in the middle of total devastation, David makes this conscious, powerful pivot away from despair. He basically draws a line in the sand. As for me, regardless of what Ahitophel did, regardless of the betrayal, I call to God.
It's such a clear decision made right in the middle of chaos and violence. The text actually tells us there is violence all over the city. People are betraying him left and right. Yet, there's this incredible friction between that external, chaotic world and the singular internal clarity of David's decision. He doesn't wait for the storm to pass to make this call. He makes it right in the thick of it.
And because he makes that call, we get verse 22. Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. This is truly one of the greatest promises in the entire text. It's not just about venting your frustrations into the air. It's about the sustaining power of actively releasing your burdens.
And look at how this Old Testament promise echoes directly into the New Testament hundreds of years later. 1 Peter 5:7 says, "Cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you." Peter is quoting Psalm 55 almost word for word here. It proves this beautiful, consistent message of divine care that spans entirely across the texts. Not only is God powerful enough to handle the anxiety, but he actually cares for you.
And what's really fascinating is that this care is firmly grounded in reality. His care isn't theoretical.
According to the source, we have a God who became flesh, who actually entered into our suffering, and who took our absolute heaviest burden to the cross. You aren't just casting your cares into some empty void. You're casting them onto someone who proved their love by stepping directly into human suffering.
So let's jump into Section 4, How to Live It Out. How do we actually apply this ancient wisdom today? Well, we're given a very clear, actionable guide for processing our own grief and anxiety. Step 1, pray without editing yourself. Let all those messy emotions out. Step 2, name the specific burden or broken relationship. Really identify exactly what you've been carrying all alone. And step 3, release it to God. Deliberately pray that promise from Psalm 55 over it.
And that brings us to a bit of a challenge for you. Try to make I call to God your default response this week, not just your last resort. You know, we so often try to fix absolutely everything ourselves, and only when we're completely overwhelmed do we finally call out. Let's shift that mindset. When the anxiety hits or that betrayal stings, make honest communication your very first immediate reaction.
And finally, Section 5, Final Reflections. Let's take a quick moment to synthesize this emotional journey we've been on. Think about the weight we carry every day. Broken relationships, unresolved fears, the absolute loneliness of trying to hold it all together entirely by yourself. I want to speak directly to you for a second here. So many of us are carrying these specific, hidden weights completely alone, pretending everything is perfectly fine. But you really don't have to hold it all together anymore.
So, the most crucial takeaway from this entire explainer really just comes down to this simple, powerful phrase: He cares for you. It's a wildly empowering truth. You can cast your worries because He is strong enough, sure, but more importantly, because He truly, genuinely cares.
I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought to consider long after this explainer ends. What are you carrying right now that you haven't fully brought to God? Like, what would it look like if, today, you finally stopped editing yourself and just brought the whole mess to Him? Take some time to really think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.